to welcome all of you to this webinar titled Smart Modernization, How to Turn Legacy Systems into Intelligence Platforms. This webinar is brought to you by the Brazil, Texas Chamber of Commerce, BRATECC for short, and our partner and member, Meta IT North America. I'm Michael Ranelli. I'm the Executive Director of BRATECC. BRATECC is a 25-year-old nonprofit organization with approximately 100 members. And this year is a special year for BRATECC because we're celebrating its 25th anniversary in September. We have a special celebration program for this year, which would like to invite all of you to participate in our events, both in Houston and Brazil, and also become members of BRATECC if you're interested in this building our community and partnerships. We're based in Houston, Texas. For those who know Houston, our offices are in the Galleria area, in the same building as the Brazilian Consulate General. BRATECC is the main organization for the development of trade relations between Brazil and the state of Texas. We traditionally operate in the energy sector, supporting companies in the oil and gas exploration and refining industries. But that include companies that are part of the broad supply chain that serve these industries. BRATECC has been expanding its membership base to include companies engaged in other sectors, not just oil and gas, such as energy transition, renewable energy, infrastructure, financial services, agribusiness, and many other sectors. Our main mission is the development of commercial relations, opening channels of dialogue between the state of Texas and Brazil, business facilitation, internationalization of companies, trade, investment relations, and support for entrepreneurs who are looking to enter new markets and partnerships, both in the United States and Brazil. To facilitate these opportunities, BRATECC has several initiatives that contribute to these efforts. We organize major events in Texas and Brazil. We organize conferences, webinars, seminars, trade missions, and special events focused on business trends, investments, trade relations, and community outreach. We also organize online and events on demand like this one, such as this webinar, especially for our members. Our events are designed to provide content, networking opportunities for the business community with participation of high-level executives and high-ranking officials. So finally, switching to our partner, Meta IT, which is our partner today for this webinar. The company helps clients with IT consulting and has more than 35 years of experience specializing in the modernization of in digital transformation of hundreds of companies. Meta IT is recognized by Gartner, ISG, and Time Magazine. The company delivers end-to-end solutions that combine intelligence, automation, data integration, and scalable architectures, helping organizations improve performance, reduce complexity, and innovate with confidence. Our webinar today focuses on the discussion of the mistaken belief that most business think that they must rebuild from scratch to get modern speed and AI capabilities. But the truth is that companies that can modernize what they already have and turn their legacy outdated systems into high-performance platforms without rebuilding everything from scratch. And they can do that through practical strategies and integrate cloud, automation, and artificial intelligence. Our speaker today is Gustavo Couto. Gustavo is the head of the tech IT solutions at Meta IT. He has more than 13 years of experience in software engineering, digital product development, and IT management. He holds an applied data science certification from MIT, where he focused on AI for decision-making, machine learning, and advanced analytics. At Meta IT, he leads modernization and cloud transformation initiatives for global clients specializing in AI-assisted development, intelligent automation, scalable architecture. So Gustavo, thank you for being here with us. We look forward to our presentation. You can go ahead and start. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the introduction, Michael. I hope you all can see my screen. Yes.
Yep.
So let's get started here, people. Well, first of all, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for BRATECC for the opportunity to be here and to showcase this offer for everybody. The idea here is to bring high-level explanation of what can be done in terms of modernization in order to improve your business. Okay. Well, first of all, I want to start with a simple question, right? Like, how many of you remember using a cell phone like this, or a flip phone, right? You could make calls, you could send text, you could even play the snake game, right? But there's a lot that you were not able to do. It was revolutionary at the time. It worked. It was reliable. But imagine trying to run your business or even basic aspects of your life without a smartphone today, right? Without any apps, without GPS, no email in real time, video calls, even access to an AI nowadays. You could still communicate, but you would be at a disadvantage. That is exactly what legacy systems are today for many of the companies. They still work, but they were never designed for cloud, real-time data, for modern security threats, for AI, leverage data in order to make forecasts and decisions, all of that. So legacy systems are really yesterday's phones in today's digital economy. Well, does that mean you got to throw your whole system away and get a brand new smartphone? Well, no, not really. And we'll explore those options further in the presentation, but we can leverage what you already have and assist you in getting to modern day technology with what you already have, making sure that everything is reliable and modern. So, going further here, let's talk about um, when people hear the term legacy system, they usually think it's something old or outdated, right? But a legacy system is not defined technically by its age. It's by its abilities or inability to support your business. A legacy system is a system that can no longer evolve at the speed your company needs. It may still work. It may process invoices. It may ship orders or generate some reports. But behind the scenes, there's a bottleneck. You can't really grow or innovate around it. It's really hard. It's a black box. There may be a couple of people maintaining the project, and if they leave your company, you don't know how you're going to be able to maintain the application, right? So there are some real risks, right? So again, system not being able to evolve at the speed of your business, right? The business knowledge being embedded into code and within specific people within your company. It's very difficult and risky to integrate or make any change. Sometimes you want to make the change, but is that going to break any critical process in your company? You might not want to risk that, right? It might limit innovation and the data that you can leverage and you should be leveraging within your business, or even automation so that you can save time and make sure that your precious personnel is working on key innovative aspects within your company instead of making repetitive tasks. And of course, you're always depending on a shrinking pool of developers maintaining legacy code that people don't really use nowadays in certain technologies, right? And of course, there are the operational security and compliance risks, which can make or break a company, that's for sure. Okay, so going forward here, I like this phrase by Clayton Christensen that basically says that what got you here won't get you there. So yes, we're all doing good. Our businesses are doing well, but we got to look for the future and make sure that we're prepared for it, right? So why modernized? Well, first of all, security. Okay, so um, legacy systems were built before modern security threats existed. We're talking about 20, maybe 30 years ago, right? You wouldn't be able to do things that you're able to do now. Certain libraries or tools that were used for your application, they might be deprecated, they're not getting updates anymore. Maybe certain vulnerabilities were found, and you're at a risk, right? If something happens, it could be really, really bad. Second, scalability. Well, it doesn't really scale too well. You're not able to process your data faster, work with larger workloads, and your clients and the people working for you, sometimes they are expecting whenever you click something for it to happen instantly. And how many times have you had to tell your clients or a coworker, hey, wait a minute, because my system is low here, and it's doing its thing, right? Well, that doesn't cut it anymore, especially if it's customer facing, and overall it just takes away from your business, right? Third really is innovation, right? We're in the age of AI, in the age of analytics, mobile apps, real-time connections, being able to access your systems from home, whereas if it's on-prem, sometimes you're not able to do that. So if you have an older system, you might not be able to have those technologies up and running at this point. Talent again, it might get costly if you're looking for someone with experience in COBOL or Pascal or older languages and not a lot of people have experience with. So operational costs will get more and more expensive further down the line. And last but not least, for sure, is the user experience again. It goes back to everything that we already said, but everyone's expecting a seamless operation. And this is why modernizing today, it really feels like it's not a luxury, but just getting you up to speed and making sure that you're ready for the future. Okay. Now, I'm going to talk about what strategies, and this is going to be very high level. We can always get into more technical detail as to how and what we can actually do for your particular situation. But I'll go over some of the strategies that we can use for modernization. And one thing will be clear after I explain this is that it doesn't necessarily have to be just one solution. We can use a multitude of solutions to be able to make sure that your situation is handled correctly. And we'll have a case about that. So we typically work with the time model from Gartner. That is a quadrant in 2x basically that leverages the business value that an application or a platform is bringing to your business and its technical capabilities. Okay, and depending if it's doing well or not, it might fall into the quadrants tolerate, invest, migrate, or eliminate. Right, and depending on where the application falls, we might decide what we want to do with it, right? Should we just retire it completely and build it from scratch? Well, that's a tough one. That's a tough decision, but it hardly falls there. Oftentimes you just need to invest a little bit in it, make sure that you can migrate it, make sure that it is modular or that we can improve its technologies by following these strategies. So first of all, lift and shift. This is where we basically get your system without hardly any change to the code whatsoever. It works as is, but we change the infrastructure, making sure that it is more reliable and that it has quick benefits. This often goes hand in hand with the fourth option in there, which is cloud adoption, which allows you to move your system to the cloud, allowing you access to digital capabilities like scalability, security, analytics, access to AI. So those go hand in hand oftentimes. Refactoring is when we improve the quality of your system without changing how the business uses it. It increases reliability. It prepares the system for the future, right? Third is modularization, and that's a big one. You guys probably already heard of microservices. It's basically everywhere nowadays. In the past, a lot of the platforms were monolithic, and it had one big flaw, right? Which technology allowed us to improve quite a bit. Imagine you have a retail website where you're selling things, and you have your checkout, your cart, and there's also an algorithm that allows you to display to your customer similar items to what they've been looking for. Well, imagine that this algorithm that recommends them items breaks and it doesn't load anymore. You get an error. Well, in the past, it could just break your whole system and your website wouldn't work. It would make your website go offline and you would lose business. Well, with modularization, we can make sure that, well, the recommendations is not working, but you still have your items in your cart. Clients that just want to pay for it and get an order confirmation, they can still do that because it is modularized, right? So with that, there's also a very good benefit that we can do it bit by bit and not overhaul the whole system at once. We can get one part of the system, modularize it, as you'll see further down the line in our example. Okay. And last but not least, there is the reimplementation and retirement, which is just for reimplementation, we take the whole thing. We understand the process. We understand what's being done. We understand what new capabilities are going to be needed for the future and for current needs. And we re-implement the whole application in newer technologies. And the retirement decommission, it would just be basically figuring out that, okay, this tool is doing its job, but maybe there's a market alternative that already does this. Let's migrate to that alternative and retire this one. It is an option as well. Okay. So how can we deliver something like this? Well, first, there's the Smart Delivery Center, which is often used for fixed scope with measurable stages. It ensures predictability, governance, and the quality of delivery. And last but not least, the Smart Squads, which usually contains a multidisciplinary team, so developers, project managers, tech leads, maybe process mappers, and we're able to handle technology on an open scope basis. Ideal for flexible projects adjusting to new businesses reality. So you're not really sure what needs to be done. Maybe by taking a look at what's being done, you want to change a feature here and there. Smart squads are good for that flexibility. Okay. For the case that we have here, I want to talk about a global fleet services client. They have trackers for trucks all over the world here, but with a major focus on the US and Europe. Annual revenue is around $30 billion. And they did have the issues of one of their platforms. It was built on low code directly on database logic. And the low code, it wasn't like a platform today. It was built by themselves. And it worked. It worked for them for the time being. But as things progressed, 15 years later, delivering of new features became a whole lot slower. Even though it was low code, it was very slow. It was very difficult to attract new clients, people that understood it and were able to pump out new features. It was very hard to integrate with modern platforms, and the user experience just wasn't there. Okay. And there was also the fact that a lot of the data was not being encrypted, which posed real significant risks and security issues. Okay. We did an accelerated discovery phase. It was more than just looking at the code and understanding it. It leveraged understanding the business processes, understanding the code, understanding future business goals, and putting everything together to map an as-is of the system with a to-be of the system. The strategy was defined as a lift and shift with a lot of the other strategies as well. So there was a little bit of everything here. And as mentioned, we did go for a modular architecture with microservices as well. Some of the lessons that we learned in this project, we brought all of our knowledge and we understood with the client is that it doesn't start with the code always. It always starts with the business. It's always about what your processes are, where you want to be, and what is happening to your business right now. So understanding your business really is core. That assessment, that discovery phase is key. for moving forward and making sure that we have a reliable product at the end. It was also very important for this client that we brought value in small increments. So we decided to modularize the application and to implement each of the modules at a time, rolling out, making sure that everything was working proper. It also assisted them with shifting from a monolithic to a microservices architecture. And we did utilize AI as a tool to bring control and quality and not chaos. And we'll get more into this AI now. Well, this slide shows how we implemented the legacy system, leveraging AI and automation for this client. So very high level here, and let me get my laser pointer. We did have the database. Again, this application was built on top of database logic, so we're not even talking about a backend or anything like that. But we did get a connector to the database. We accessed the whole thing. And for this specific client, they did not at all want to change the logic under the application. They just wanted it to work on a new environment with new technologies. So we utilized a code transpiler to just make sure that we were getting the code from a legacy technology to a newer technology. And AI assisted us in building this just like a developer would, setting up entities, setting up databases, the services, and making sure that the APIs were there, working and exposed when needed. Okay. We also leverage testing agents to be able to automate a lot of the tests and to document all of the product, making sure that in the future, maintenance would be much, much easier with everything well documented. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about our approach in steps here. So you've probably already seen it from the case, but I'll give you 6 steps, which we usually follow in projects like this. And hopefully you'll be able to understand it, and we can always leverage that for your business. So first of all, the first step is the strategic definition. As I mentioned before in the lessons learned, really understanding the business, understanding your objective is key to any of these projects, to any project really. But when we're talking about legacy applications and sometimes they're very, very core to your business, this is truer than ever, right? So there was the definition of strategy that we're going to be using. This is where we understand the whole business. And this is where we figure out, okay, what do we want to do here? Do we want to just do a big bang and get a new system in and teach people how to use it? Maybe there's going to be change management involved. Do we want to do retirement? Do we want to do a modularization? What do we want to do here? Okay, so in this step, we figure out and we propose to you what the best solution would be. Then we go in with the assessment and we map the end-to-end journey. We talk to people, we understand the processes, we understand the technology, we look in depth at the code, and there is a technological assessment. As the case, we do map an as-is and a to-be of the application to make sure that everyone's following and that there's no misunderstanding between what we have and what's going to be there between us and the clients. And we also finalize the selection of the architecture. For a transformation, this is really where the magic happens. This is where we either rewrite the code or we refactor it, making it more efficient. And again, AI pops up here again as AI agents, right? And I just want to make one thing clear. Many of you probably are using AI nowadays to write emails, edit text, get a better understanding of things. And it makes you efficient, but it does not replace you. And it really is the same thing with developers. So oftentimes we're going to be talking about AI agents for development, for product management, for documentation. Again, it does not replace a very good developer at all, but it does empower them to pump out more quality code in a more efficient time frame. Okay, so prioritizing modularity and integration for this one specific situation. Automation of manual processes, right? Making sure that we can gain efficiency within your business, making sure that your precious personnel is able to work for you instead of working on repetitive manual processes that could easily be. Hello, I apologize. You guys can hear me, right? I can see you. Yes, I apologize. My microphone died for a second. Let me just make one thing clear. You guys were able to hear the number 3, correct, Ju? Awesome. Okay, thank you so much. I apologize for that. So we go into testing and validation. This is where we make sure that performance, load, everything is working properly, and that you'll always have a good view of how the application is performance, something that probably was missing on legacy systems. We validate the resilience and everything, making sure that we can scale and that we're not running into issues. As for the rollout, again, this is strategy based, but it can be a big bang, it can be in parallel, it can be incremental with the modular changes, but we make sure that there are pipelines for accelerated development and that there's always training and change management in terms of new teams. Last but not least, continuous evolution. This is where we monitor, we make sure that there's a certain level of observability within your system, and we follow DevSecOps practices to make sure that everything is operating normally. And if there's any issues, you will get an alert. Whoever's maintaining your system will get an alert prior to you needing to do any reactive maintenance so that you can do more proactive maintenance if needed. Okay. In terms of our approach here, I just want to use this slide to talk about the AI agents I mentioned prior and how we can leverage them to make this a whole lot faster and a whole lot more efficient. Projects like this would take a long time before just understanding some of these legacy systems, but this was made a whole lot more efficient with what we have nowadays in terms of tools. So let's say we have a legacy system here, and of course we sit down with you and understand business context, all of that, and we send to our AI agent all the discovery, all the user research that was done here, the as-is blueprints that we've seen, and all the legacy code, and it is able to generate what developers and project managers call user stories from your legacy system. So this is all that your users should be able to do and see within your application as stories, okay? So taking this strategy in mind, whatever strategy was chosen, we send all these stories to the tech lead agent, which is able to generate tasks. So basically, let's say that one of the tasks was, as a user, I want to be able to log into my application and it has to save my password. I don't want to keep entering my password all the time, right? So the task list would be something like, well, there's going to be a login. So you have to code a login and a login button. You have to code a remember me button, and we have to make sure that the authentication is saved somehow so that you're not constantly having to re-authenticate, right? So there's several different small steps within a story, and that's what the tech lead agent does here. It breaks it down into small tasks. And then we get into the developer agent, which assists with automated testing, making sure that everything we do is tested. It is a repeatable test, and it does generate artifacts such as documentation and comments in the code as well, making sure that whoever comes after is able to understand it a whole lot quicker, and you're able to see the documentation assisting in further development later down the line. Okay. Now, breaking down here basically our application into some of the benefits that we can have with system modernizations is, well, first and foremost, speed, right? Again, it used to take a long time to do projects like this, oftentimes, but Now you can do it in months. You can do it much quicker. If you do modularize, you can bring value to your company faster than ever. Cost control is a big item as well, where you'll have less rework, fewer unknowns, better planning. You won't be depending on outdated libraries, and you won't have a whole lot of risk, right? So there's going to be a whole lot of risk reduction here. You will be able to maintain your business knowledge in documented basis, fully well commented, and technologies that are future ready, and you have ample market to hire people to maintain and improve those applications, right? And last but not least, all of this ties together with competitive advantage. You're basically leaving the past behind and you're entering the market and being able to connect new technologies, and utilize your data, utilize your time a whole lot better, right? So Texas is home for to manufacturing, energy, financial services. There's a whole bunch of very, very large industries in Texas that rely on systems that were built decades ago, right? So the idea is that these modernization would allow you guys to expand faster, improve compliance, reduce downtime, and all of that. It's not about replacing what works. It's about upgrading what works so that it can work for you for the next 20 years. Okay? Now, these are some of the partners and some of the tools that we do use for projects like this. So security and privacy is always a big thing. So we do follow the SIEM protocol, making sure that your data and your security is paramount in the project. Observability, making sure that the application is well monitored, that we understand what's going on, again, to be more reactive than more proactive than reactive. As for artificial intelligence, you probably saw the AI agents, and I want to break it down now because we'll probably get a question about that. And you can, by the way, always send your questions on a QA box up there. But how are we different from Cloud Code or from Gemini or from any of that? Why not just use those? Well, the platform that we've built for agents, it is an orchestrator. So we are able to leverage what's best in AI for whatever the scenario fits best. So for example, we've noticed that for the product manager agent, the Gemini LLM is a whole lot better than the other ones. It just produces better results. Same thing with the code. Cloud provides better testing, but OpenAI codexes provides better development. So we're able to pick and choose whatever is best. And the good thing is, the good and the hard thing, right, is that this is always changing. These models are coming out all the time, but we're always on top of it, making sure that we're always using the best one for each scenario. We work with many business tools and strategic partners to leverage any delivery possible. Okay. We are ISG recognized here for AI-driven services within our branches. And again, I'll just finish where I started, just making sure that you all understand that legacy systems were incredible in their time. They served their purpose, much like the old phone, but the world did move forward. And we're here to help your business upgrade into a smart, AI-powered future, data-powered future, so that you can protect your business. Okay. One last thing. We do build these high-performance nearshore teams with Latin-based experience. We also provide teams and resources within North America and Canada, but with our nearshore teams, you can expect the same time zone, very high quality, especially good English for all of our employees. And we are recognized by Gartner, ISG, Best Employer in Brazil, and Great Place to Work as well for 7 years in a row. Okay. So with that, I'll open to any questions. You guys can click the link to be able to see more about this. We're always open to discuss this further if you have any questions. And if you have any questions as well right now for us, please let us know in the QA box. Okay, feel free to reach out as well.
Thank you, Gustavo. It was great to hear that you don't need to rebuild a legacy system from scratch for better security and speed and also efficiency. So if anyone has any questions, we will be taking them on the Q&A section, and I can read them out loud for Gustavo. And in case anyone doesn't have any questions, we will leave our links in the chat. If anyone wants to learn more about Meta IT, our website, our LinkedIn, and our Instagram, where you can learn more about our solutions as well.
I'll leave it up in the screen as well for a little bit longer. Okay.
We'd also appreciate if you guys also rate our event in case you have any feedback for us. We always want to improve our event in the future.
So no more questions. We do have one question.
I'm opening it up. How would a collaboration work with a business development consultant selling services to clients in Texas interested in bringing your organization into support?
All right, let me read that again 1 second. So how would a collaboration work with a business development consultant selling services to clients in Texas? Okay, so let's say that you have a client, you figure out that they need to modernize their systems. We can work together if you have people capable of managing the project. We can bring the resources and a lot of the technical knowledge, or we can work together just by us being partners for that one client.
There's also another question here. Is there any best practices to measure or estimate the effort necessary to modernize an app?
Yes, so as mentioned prior, we do leverage the Gartner time framework, which will tell us if the application should be retired, should be modernized, should be migrated. And based on that, we understand what the application does within the assessment or discovery phase, so that we're able to estimate properly what needs to be done and provide you with the best estimate possible.
Any more questions for Gustavo? I believe that is it.
Well, if we don't have any more questions, I would like to thank our speaker, Gustavo Couto. Thank you so much for your great presentation. Juliana Coelho, also for this great partnership that we have. So I would like to finalize just by saying that this presentation is going to be available on YouTube, on BRATECC's channel, also on BRATECC's website for future reference. So, and if you want to get in touch with Meta IT, just make sure you send them a message, or you can reach out to them directly, or reach out to us, and we'll forward your messages and emails, whatever form of communication that you'd like to reach them out. So thank you for all your participation. I'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you all so much.